Okay, so this is the second video and I'm just going to talk about exactly how to lure the trick we're going to teach. So as you'll see in the videos of Base and of Axis, who are my less experienced dogs doing this particular trick, I used a treat on their nose to encourage them to either walk over or step off a surface. So in Axis's case, I asked him to jump up onto a dog bed, and then I lured his front 2 feet onto the ground by putting a treat on his nose, and as he stepped down onto the ground, I gave him that reward. I marked the landing of his feet onto the ground with the word yes, and he got his reward. He was then repeatedly rewarded in that position because it's the actual position, not the movement, that is the key for this particular behaviour. So I repeatedly rewarded him in that position with his back feet up on the bed and his front feet on the ground. And then I used the word okay, which is his release cue, which means you don't have to carry on doing whatever you've been doing. And I threw a treat away so that he went and chased that, which then broke the behaviour so he could start that again. With Base, I put a plastic box, same sort of size as a washing up bowl, on the ground, and I lured him over. So he steps onto the box with his front 2 feet first. He then managed to put all 4 feet on, and then he gets the treat when he takes his front feet off and they land on the ground. And again, I rewarded him repeatedly while his back feet were up on the box so that he's being rewarded for being in that position. So the lure was when I used the treat to actually move him from the box down onto the floor. And actually that's an opportunity when I might use a lower value lure to actually move a dog and then swap to a higher value reward for actually rewarding in place. So if it had been later in the day and Axis had been a bit more yampy as he can get, I might have used kibble to lure him into a 2-on 2-off, so 2 feet on the box, 2 feet on the floor. And then I might have used sausage to reward the position so that he actually realises it's the position that's the key thing we want to achieve. Later on then, there's a video of Siri and Darwin doing the same trick. Both of them are very, very comfortable in the what's called the 2-on 2-off position. And several times you'll actually see Siri backing onto the wobble board or Darwin just sort of jumping sideways onto the position. And that's when you really understand that the dog has got that position and he understands the trick. What I haven't actually shown in the videos is when we actually name a behaviour. And that's a really interesting thing to talk about because the key thing is, for me personally, I like to have the behaviour understood and then I put a name to it. So Axis understands the position absolutely now, and you'll see at the end of the video he actually jumps into the 2-on 2-off position really, really willingly on his own. And it's at that point where he jumps in that I would actually have given him the reward and said the cue word. Now my cue word for the back feet on one thing, front feet on the other, is actually touch. I know that most people use that word for hand touch, but it's a word I started off using for agility, 2-on 2-off contacts, and I've stuck with it because I'm a simple soul and trying to change my cue words just doesn't work. But you can use whatever you want. You can use toes, you can use paws, you can use feet. But the key thing is when the dog understands the behaviour and they are static in that behaviour, so they're in the position you want, you then use the cue word and reward at the same time so that you're actually you're connecting the word, the cue word, with the physical position, because this ultimately is a static trick that we're teaching at the moment. We can use this later in a dynamic setting, and absolutely it can be used in a whole range of dynamic settings, but for now it's a static behaviour with a word that actually cues that static behaviour. Hope that makes sense. I'm now going to show you the videos of my dogs doing this, and then I'm going to leave you to do some training. Please post your videos, tell us how you're going, ask questions, and it doesn't just have to be about training this particular trick. I really hope that this can be turned into a really happy, friendly community. Thanks again for joining. See you soon.